It was a breezy afternoon when Derek stood by the open suitcase on the bed, his eyes cold and distant. Amara, usually poised and gentle, watched him with a mixture of disbelief and heartbreak. She clutched the edge of the bedroom doorframe, silently trying to process what was happening. "You knew this day would come," Derek said, folding a crisp white shirt with robotic precision. "I can't do this anymore." Amara tried to steady her voice. I thought we could work through our issues," she whispered, remembering the many nights she'd stayed awake, hoping for some breakthrough moment in their marriage. "We haven't even tried couples therapy." He threw the shirt on top of his jeans. "That's not the point," he snapped. "I need someone younger, someone who excites me. And frankly, I'm done living in a boring marriage." Amara blinked, fighting back tears. She glanced at the closet filled with clothes she had carefully laundered, the shoes arranged by color that he often complimented her for, and the bedside table stacked with the self-help books she'd been reading. She wanted to become a better partner, or so she thought. "Is there someone else?" she finally asked, voice trembling. Derek paused, then shrugged nonchalantly. "Yes," he admitted. "Her name is Lana. She understands me in ways you never did. She makes me feel alive." A cold shudder rushed down Amara's spine. She tried to muster some dignity, but her shock was overwhelming. The final blow came when Derek turned around, his face devoid of remorse. "You'll be okay. You always are. But I need to live for myself now." He zipped the suitcase and brushed past her toward the door. Amara inhaled sharply, standing motionless as she heard the front door slam shut moments later. In that instant, she felt the sting of betrayal carving itself into her heart. She was alone. She sank to the floor, arms hugging her knees, hearing only her own breath in the silent room. The man she'd shared her dreams with had just walked away, chasing youth and novelty. The words, "I need someone younger," replayed in her mind like a cruel echo. Her phone buzzed, a text from Derek, "I'll pick up the rest of my stuff tomorrow." Amara pressed her lips together, refusing to break into sobs. She closed her eyes, searching for any sense of self still left inside. A quiet whisper escaped her, softer than a breeze, more resolute than any vow. "Watch me," she said. "You don't know what you've unleashed." That night, Amara sat on the edge of the bed, staring into the dresser mirror. The reflection that stared back appeared hollowed, the room's lamp casting a dim glow across her features. She reached for her comb, the simple act feeling oddly heavy, as if even her daily routines had become foreign. All her emotions tangled themselves into a single knot in her chest. She didn't cry, she found no tears. Instead, she was enveloped in a strange sense of numbness, a silent storm brewing deep within. Her fingernails lightly pressed into her palms, the only sign of the tension roiling in her veins. Sometime close to midnight, she walked barefoot through the house. The furniture, the photo frames, the soft blankets, everything testified to a life built on shared dreams and hopes. In the living room, she paused by a framed photograph, Derek and her, smiling on their wedding day. She lifted it, examined their once happy expressions, then carefully placed it face down on the shelf. Suddenly, her phone rang. It was Raya, her childhood friend. Amara stared at the phone before answering, her voice monotone. "Hey." Raya's concerned voice crackled through. "Amara, I just heard from a friend that Derek moved out. Are you okay?" Amara cleared her throat but couldn't form words. She wanted to rant, to rage, but no sound came. After a lengthy silence, Raya spoke again. "We don't have to talk if you're not ready. But just know I'm here." Amara swallowed, the pressure in her throat easing slightly. "Thanks," she managed. "It's complicated. He left me for a younger woman." An uncomfortable hush followed. Raya, never one to tread lightly, eventually said, "You're more powerful than you think, Amara." Another moment passed before Amara answered softly, "Watch me." It was the only phrase that had formed in her mind all evening. A promise, more to herself than anyone else. The seed of determination was there, buried beneath her shock and pain. She hung up and returned to her bedroom. Standing before the dresser mirror again, she whispered it once more, "Watch me." And though the words were quiet, they carried the force of a silent storm, gathering momentum within her soul. Amara awoke to a gray dawn, her pillow unsullied by tears. She felt as if she'd processed her heartbreak without a single weep. But the pain was there, raw and consuming, hidden under a layer of calm resolve. She shuffled to the kitchen, brewed coffee, and drank it in total silence. As she stared at the swirling steam, her mind transported her to the early days of her marriage with Derek. Memories played out like a montage. She remembered packing his lunches when they were both starting out in their careers, Derek in finance, Amara in a small editorial job she eventually gave up to support him. She recalled all the late nights she stayed awake editing his reports, double-checking his presentations, ensuring he'd look good in front of his bosses. She thought about the vacations she canceled so he could attend conferences, the shopping sprees she never went on to save money for his ambitions. She had poured her heart and soul into Derek's dreams. They spoke of buying a nice suburban home. She had wanted children eventually, but Derek always said, "Let's wait until the promotion. Let's wait until I'm stable. Let's wait until—" She had waited. Yet, for all her efforts, she couldn't recall one instance when Derek had championed her dreams. She couldn't remember him asking, "What do you want to do, Amara?" Her voice had been overshadowed by his loud ambitions. The realization that she had built a life around him cut like a blade. Sipping her coffee, she wondered how she had missed the signs. It was a one-sided love story all along. She'd been writing chapters about a future that Derek had no intention of living with her. He merely enjoyed the convenience of having her as his support system. She put the mug down, her hands shaking slightly. The air in the kitchen felt suffocating, cluttered with the ghosts of unreturned sacrifices. She stepped outside to the small balcony, letting fresh morning air fill her lungs. The sun was trying to pierce through the clouds, and in that faint light, she felt a spark of resolve flicker. Taking out her phone, she typed a note in her memo app, "I will not live in someone else's shadow ever again." She read those words twice, then nodded as if agreeing with an unspoken pact. It was time to reclaim her narrative. The old story of sacrificing her dreams was over. A new story, with her at the center, was about to begin. When Amara finally opened her door to Raya the next morning, her oldest friend burst in with a concerned expression, arms full of grocery bags. Raya was the type of person who believed a hearty meal could solve half of life's problems. She had a fiery spirit and was never afraid to speak her mind. "Listen," Raya began, placing the bags on the kitchen counter. "I've known you since we were 7, and you are not the kind of woman who crumbles. Now, you might feel like doing that right now, but I won't let you." Amara mustered a small smile. "It's not crumbling," she said softly. "I just feel empty." Raya's eyes softened. "Of course you do. You've been giving Derek everything for years. It's like your well is dry because you've poured out all your water without ever replenishing." Amara sat at the table while Raya began cooking. The rhythmic chopping of vegetables provided an oddly comforting soundtrack. "He said he wants someone younger," Amara admitted. "Made me feel like I was a used up. I don't know." Raya slammed the knife onto the cutting board with exasperation. "That man is trash." "Sorry, but he is," she spat. "Age is a number, and it doesn't define your worth. You are not broken, Amara. You were just caged. Now you're free." Amara looked up, curiosity sparking in her eyes. "Caged." Raya washed her hands, then turned around with the intensity of a motivational speaker. "Yes, caged. You let him overshadow your dreams. You forgot to build a life for yourself. But guess what? Now you can do whatever you want. You don't have to make yourself smaller for him. Embrace this, Amara." As they sat down to eat, Raya wouldn't let Amara brood for long. She peppered her with questions about her own aspirations. "If you could do anything, what would it be? Think back to your younger self." Amara shrugged. "I used to love writing. I also adored fashion, designing clothes and exploring different styles. But I set those aside for Derek's corporate ambitions." A thoughtful gleam shone in Raya's eyes. We can still explore that. You're not too old. You're 32, not 80. Maybe it's time to pick up those interests again. Amara let that idea settle. It felt simultaneously comforting and daunting. Before Raya left that day, she gave Amara a quick hug, whispering, "I'm here for you. We'll figure this out. One day, you'll look back and wonder why you ever cried over that fool." For the first time since Derek's departure, Amara felt a strange sense of anticipation, like a door had been flung open to possibilities she'd never let herself consider. She wasn't entirely sure how to proceed, but Raya's words echoed in her mind, "You're not broken. You were just caged." And it was time to break free. The sun was high when Amara turned on her laptop and logged into social media. It was both a dreaded and necessary step. Her fingers trembled with apprehension as she typed Derek's name in the search bar, but the moment she saw his profile picture, she realized she wasn't prepared for the emotional whiplash that might follow. She steeled herself. "It's just a digital presence," she said out loud, like a mantra. "He doesn't own my life anymore." First, she hovered over the "unfriend" button. A moment's hesitation. Her mind replayed their wedding day, the times they posted pictures with #forever, #couplegoals, all illusions of a perfect marriage. Those illusions burst like soap bubbles the second she clicked "remove friend." She felt a pang in her chest, but also a shred of relief. Next, she blocked him so he couldn't reach out with manipulative words or see her updates unless she wanted him to. It felt symbolic, like she was taking back control over her narrative. Then she went through her photos, methodically removing tags that linked her to him. Each click of the mouse was like excising a ghost that haunted her timeline. She did it for her mental health, though the unexpected sting of nostalgic memories made it a bittersweet process. With Derek now cut from her digital world, she glanced at her news feed, and that's when her heart sank. Several mutual friends were discussing Derek's brand new relationship status. She clicked on one friend's post. There, in bright emojis and heartfelt congratulations, were pictures of Derek and Lana, engaged. The caption read, "Congrats to Derek and Lana on their engagement. They're perfect together." Perfect. The word stung more than it should have. She realized Derek had wasted no time, and it wasn't enough for him to just leave. He had to showcase a new life as if their marriage had never mattered. Amara closed her laptop, her stomach in knots. Despite every ounce of hurt, she resolved not to cower. She grabbed her phone, blocked him on every platform she could find. She blocked Lana as well, though she gazed momentarily at the younger woman's profile picture, a fresh-faced, bright-eyed woman who flaunted her relationship with Derek in curated snapshots of expensive dinners and glittering nights out. "Unfollow, block, delete," Amara whispered, each command bringing a small measure of comfort. She placed her phone down with finality. Yet, even with the digital purge, she couldn't entirely escape the reality of Derek's engagement. News traveled fast. Her phone buzzed with concerned messages from acquaintances. She decided to ignore them all. She stepped outside, breathing deeply, letting the warm afternoon sun envelop her. Though she wished she could outrun the ghost of Derek and Lana, she knew the only path forward was to stand her ground, face the pain, and fight for the life she deserved. If the online world was going to push the image of their perfect love story, she would shape her own story, a better one, on her own terms. She whispered a vow to herself, "Let them see who I become next." A few days later, Raya convinced Amara to leave the house for something other than work or groceries. "Enough moping," Raya declared over the phone. "We're going to do something radical." Amara, reluctant but curious, stepped out in a simple tracksuit, her hair tied in a messy bun. She half expected a trip to a cafe or a bookstore. Instead, Raya pulled up in her car, a grin on her face like she had a secret. "Trust me on this," she said. "We're going to the local fitness center." Upon arriving, Amara stared at the huge glass windows of the building. Inside, she could see people sweating on treadmills, pounding boxing bags, and practicing yoga. She hesitated. "Raya, I'm not sure about this. I've never really been the gym type." "Exactly," Raya countered, taking her hand. "You need something totally new to channel your energy. Let's just talk to the personal trainer and see how it goes." Their steps echoed in the lobby, the smell of rubber mats and cleaning agents enveloping them. Posters of confident men and women lifting weights adorned the walls. For a moment, Amara felt self-conscious. She tugged at her loose tracksuit, wondering if everyone else would be in form-fitting athletic gear. They met with a bubbly trainer named Jasmine, who gave them a quick tour. She showed them the cardio machines, the weight area, and finally a specialized section where they held fitness challenges. Amara listened politely, half convinced she'd go home after, but something about Jasmine's enthusiasm was infectious. "We have a 12-week challenge starting next Monday," Jasmine explained. "It's not just about weight loss, it's about mindset. You set goals, personal, emotional, physical. We track your progress. You get a personal mentor. It's intense, but life-changing." Amara peered at Raya, who nodded encouragingly. She had spent so long supporting Derek's ambitions that she'd forgotten how to set her own goals. The idea both intimidated and intrigued her. "I don't know," Amara muttered. "What if I fail?" Jasmine shrugged with a bright smile. "Then you learn and try again. No big deal." But most people who commit see massive life shifts. It's not just about muscle, it's about reclaiming ownership of your life. Those words struck Amara. The notion of ownership, of being in control, resonated with the vow she had made to herself. She glanced around at the people sweating, pushing themselves. They looked determined, as if they were in the process of rewriting their own narratives. Her heart thudded. Could she do it? Could she push through her heartbreak and channel it into something transformative? Raya placed a hand on her shoulder. "The first step is always the hardest," she said softly. "But I know you have it in you." Amara exhaled slowly. Looking from Raya to Jasmine, she made her decision. "Sign me up," she said, voice surprisingly steady. "I want to see what I'm capable of." A flicker of something, hope, determination, lit inside her. This was more than a fitness challenge. It was the first step toward rebuilding herself on her own terms. As they walked out, paperwork in hand, Amara felt a subtle surge of excitement. She could almost hear the old version of herself, timid and uncertain, whispering caution. But for once, she ignored that voice. It was time to leap, no matter how scared she was. 2 weeks into the fitness challenge, Amara found herself in a surprising routine. Mornings began at dawn, where she'd head to the gym, heartbeat pounding as she tackled interval runs and resistance training. Evenings were spent experimenting with healthier recipes, guided by Raya's unwavering support. The once sedentary woman who rarely stepped onto a treadmill was now greeting each day with fresh purpose. The change wasn't just physical. Amara noticed something shift in her mindset. Each time she pushed past her limits, completing an extra set of squats or running an additional minute without stopping, she felt a surge of pride. That sense of achievement, so often missing when her days revolved around Derek's needs, was intoxicating. By the 3rd week, she began seeing subtle changes in the mirror. A faint glow radiated from her complexion. She stood a bit taller, her shoulders more relaxed, as if a weight had lifted from her spirit. She wasn't striving to become a supermodel, she was striving to feel strong and capable, something she hadn't felt in years. One day, after her workout, she paused in front of the gym's full-length mirrors. She took in the slight definition in her arms, the way her workout clothes hugged her new shape. For the first time in a long time, the reflection looking back didn't appear sad or defeated. It seemed alive. She caught herself smiling at the mirror, a genuine smile she realized had been absent for too long. On her way out, she bumped into a friendly stranger who'd seen her progress. "Hey," he said, offering a casual compliment. "You've been killing it lately. Looking great." Amara felt her cheeks warm. She mumbled a quick thank you, grateful for the positive reinforcement. As she walked outside into the fresh air, she recalled how invisible she'd felt in her marriage, how overshadowed by Derek's endless demands. Here was a place where her hard work got noticed, where her perseverance paid off. Even in her everyday life, subtle changes emerged. Co-workers remarked on her glow, asking if she'd been on vacation or found a new skincare routine. Strangers at the grocery store flashed quick smiles her way. It was as if the universe was responding to her internal shift with external affirmations. Emboldened, Amara went shopping for the first time since Derek left. She picked out clothes that fit her evolving figure, selecting colors she previously shied away from: bold reds, bright blues, and anything that radiated confidence. As she exited the store, bags in hand, she felt a strange thrill. There was a newfound sense of possibility in the air. She wasn't there yet, wherever there might be. But the mirror had started to smile back at her, a reflection of a woman who was just beginning to believe she could carve out her own destiny. And that smile, however modest, was enough to keep her pushing forward. It happened on a Saturday afternoon. Raya burst into Amara's living room like a hurricane, arms laden with beauty products and excitement practically spilling out of her grin. "You and I," she announced, "are going to transform you into the fierce queen you were always meant to be." Amara laughed, but there was a nervous flutter in her stomach. She had gotten more comfortable with the gym routine, but a full-blown makeover felt daunting. Still, Raya's confidence was impossible to refuse. They set up a temporary salon station in the bathroom. Raya opened bottles of shampoo, conditioner, and various styling products as though she were about to perform magic. "You trust me, right?" she asked, wielding a pair of scissors. Amara gulped. "In theory." "Good enough," Raya chirped. She set to work, combing through Amara's hair with precision, trimming off split ends, layering it in a style that framed her face. Then came the coloring. Raya chose a rich caramel tint with subtle highlights, something that exuded warmth and modern flair without feeling too drastic. As they waited for the color to set, they indulged in gossip and laughter. For a moment, Amara forgot about Derek, Lana, or her past heartbreak. The bathroom filled with giggles, tinted with a sense of hair dye and hope. When they finally rinsed and blow-dried, Amara could hardly believe the reflection she saw in the mirror. Her eyes seemed brighter, her features more pronounced, as if the drabness that once dimmed her spirit had been lifted. "Wow," she whispered. "I look different." Raya beamed. "We're just getting started, girl. On to makeup." Amara had never been into heavy makeup. Derek always complained if she tried anything bold. But Raya insisted, makeup is not about men. It's about you, how you feel about yourself. She carefully applied a subtle foundation, a hint of blush, a smoky eyeshadow that made Amara's dark eyes pop. A soft, glossy lipstick completed the look. Before Amara could catch her breath, Raya dragged her to a chic boutique downtown. "We are going to get you an outfit that screams, 'I am unstoppable.'" At the boutique, racks of designer clothes glistened under soft, flattering lights. Amara hesitated, gravitating toward her usual neutrals. But Raya playfully smacked her hand away. "No more hiding," she teased, pulling out a structured blazer in a daring red, paired with high-waisted trousers that elongated Amara's legs. Amara stepped into a dressing room, heart pounding as she tried on the pieces. When she stepped out, Raya's jaw dropped in an exaggerated manner. "Girl, you are a vision!" she exclaimed, clapping her hands. Amara turned to face the three-sided mirror. The new hair, the subtle but stunning makeup, and the tailored outfit combined to create a version of herself she barely recognized. Yet, it felt authentic, like she was finally revealing an inner light that had been buried for too long. A couple of other shoppers looked over, nodding in admiration. One whispered to her friend, "She looks amazing," and Amara heard it. It made her heart soar. By the time they left the boutique, Amara felt as if she'd shed an old skin. She no longer needed permission to be visible. As they walked down the street, the wind playing with her newly styled hair, she caught her reflection in a shop window. For the first time, instead of flinching at her own image, she smiled with genuine pride. She couldn't help but think, if Derek could see me now. But then she shook that thought away. This glow-up wasn't for Derek. It was for her. She was claiming her own power, rewriting her own destiny. And she was only just getting started. The day that changed everything started off unremarkably. Amara had gone to a nearby cafe to finish some editing for a freelance gig. She decided to pick up her old passion for writing and editing on the side. The place was cozy, filled with the scent of freshly ground coffee beans and pastries. She found a corner seat by the window, a perfect spot to watch the bustle of the city outside while occasionally scribbling notes in her journal. Absorbed in her work, she barely noticed a tall, impeccably dressed man scanning the room. He wore a charcoal suit that exuded quiet luxury, and his silver hair was styled neatly. With a polite smile, he approached the empty seat across from her. "I'm sorry to bother you," he said in a refined, gentle tone. "But every other seat is taken. May I?" Amara, startled, glanced around. Indeed, the cafe had filled up quickly. She managed a smile, gesturing for him to sit. "Go ahead." He settled in, carefully placing his leather briefcase by his feet. As Amara tried to return to her editing, she felt his eyes upon her. She looked up, and he smiled politely. "My name is Blake. You can call me Mr. Blake, though. I'm in the fashion industry." "Amara," she responded, closing her laptop for a moment. "Nice to meet you." Mr. Blake studied her thoughtfully. "Have we met before? You seem familiar." Amara shook her head, a bit uneasy. "I don't think so." He continued to gaze at her, brow furrowing as if trying to place a memory. Then his face lit up in realization. "I'm attending a fashion conference next week. I saw a preview reel of local fashion enthusiasts and potential models. Were you featured in that? Or maybe I've seen you on social media." She blinked, surprised. "I'm not a model," she said, warmth creeping into her cheeks. Mr. Blake tapped his chin thoughtfully. "Well, I have an eye for faces, and yours is memorable. Pardon me if I sound forward, but have you ever considered modeling or collaborating in fashion campaigns? You carry yourself with an elegance that could fit perfectly in a high-profile brand image." Amara's cheeks grew even hotter. Was he serious? "Actually, no," she managed. "I've never modeled." He leaned forward, genuine excitement sparking in his eyes. "I have a new campaign launching in a few weeks. It's about empowerment, reinvention, second chances. It's a collection aimed at celebrating personal transformation. I'm scouting for someone with authentic energy, not just a pretty face. You have the exact aura I'm looking for." The whole thing felt surreal to Amara. She thought of Derek's scornful words about older women trying to stay relevant, and an unexpected wave of defiance rose within her. "I'm flattered," she replied. "But I'm not sure." Mr. Blake smiled, pulling out a business card embossed in gold. "Think about it. Come by our studio tomorrow, or whenever you're free. We can chat details. I won't pressure you, but I really think you'd be perfect." He left the card with her, paid for his coffee, and bid her goodbye with a cordial handshake. Amara stared at the card. It was high quality, with his full name, Nathaniel Blake, and the name of his renowned fashion label shining under the cafe's warm lights. For a moment, she just sat there, stunned. A swirl of emotions took hold: excitement, disbelief, fear. Could this really happen? She remembered Raya's words about not playing small anymore. And she remembered Derek's derision, how he thought she wasn't enough. Gripping the card, she felt the tug of fate. This was more than a random encounter. It was an opportunity, one that might lead her down a path of self-discovery and empowerment. And for the first time in ages, she felt an undeniable urge to seize the moment. She tucked the card safely into her wallet, heart pounding with anticipation for what might come next. That evening, after much soul-searching, Amara decided to research Mr. Blake and his fashion label. What she found astounded her. He was a respected figure in the industry, known for avant-garde yet empowering campaigns. Landing a role in his new line could be a massive break. She was on her phone, scrolling through various articles about his past successes, when a notification popped up from one of her acquaintances. It was a screenshot of Lana's Instagram story. Against her better judgment, Amara opened it. The story featured Lana, perfectly made up, lips curved into a seductive pout. The caption read, "Some older women just don't know when to let go. Desperate attempts to stay relevant are so tragic." There was no direct mention of Amara's name, but the timing and context were obvious. Lana was lobbing a digital dart, indirectly mocking Amara's newfound glow-up. Amara's stomach clenched. She heard that sneering voice in her mind, Derek's voice calling her old, boring. It stirred up old anxieties. For a brief moment, she doubted herself. Was she being ridiculous thinking of modeling in a major campaign at her age? She walked away from her phone, pacing her living room. Let Lana post her passive-aggressive stories. Let Derek think whatever he wanted. If she let their words define her, she'd remain caged forever. She remembered how that cage felt. No air, no space to grow. Taking a deep breath, she returned to her phone. She resisted the urge to retaliate or comment. Lana's post, dripping in condescension, might have upset her before. Now, strangely enough, it fueled her determination. She had an appointment with Mr. Blake tomorrow. She would walk in there, head high, even if the voice of doubt still whispered in the background. She called Raya, summarizing the situation in breathless frustration. "That woman is trying to get under my skin," Amara fumed. "Posting cryptic jabs about me." "Let her," Raya replied casually. "She's got nothing better to do, apparently. Besides, you've got bigger fish to fry. You're about to meet with a major designer. Don't give her the power she wants." Amara sank onto the couch, exhaling. "You're right. I shouldn't stoop to her level. But it's so petty." "That's what you get when you're dealing with petty people," Raya remarked with a laugh. "Focus on yourself, girl. The universe is watching, and karma doesn't skip anyone." Amara hung up feeling calmer. Lana could post all the cryptic stories she wanted. The path Amara was forging went far beyond digital jabs. Tomorrow, she would step into a new realm that might redefine her future. And if Lana thought mocking older women would break her spirit, she was about to be sorely disappointed. Amara might have been silent, but she was stronger than ever. Stepping into Mr. Blake's studio the next day felt like walking into another world. The walls were draped with sleek fabrics, mood boards lined the tables, and the hum of creativity buzzed in the air. Assistants, makeup artists, and photographers were all in a dance of orchestrated chaos, preparing for various fittings and test shots. Mr. Blake greeted Amara with a warm smile. "You came," he said, sounding genuinely pleased. Amara nodded, nerves twisting in her stomach. "I'm here to see what this is all about." He ushered her to a private dressing area, where racks of sophisticated clothing awaited. "This campaign," he explained, "is about redefinition and personal triumph. I want people who've been through something real, who've emerged stronger. Your energy, it suits our theme perfectly." Though anxious, Amara felt a flicker of excitement. She tried on outfit after outfit, structured blazers, elegant dresses, and bold combinations that she would have never considered before. The stylists fussed over her hair, accentuating the highlights Raya had meticulously done. The makeup artists played with dramatic eyes and strong lip colors. When she finally emerged, she barely recognized the poised woman staring back in the mirror. Mr. Blake led her to a photo set with bright lights and an elaborate background. He introduced her to the photographer, who was known for capturing emotional, powerful images. "Relax," the photographer said, adjusting the camera. "Just channel who you've become, who you want to be. Forget about everything else." Amara took a deep breath, thinking of Derek's betrayal, Lana's taunts, and the lonely nights she spent questioning her worth. She exhaled, letting that tension transform into fierce resolve. She met the camera's lens head-on. Click, click, click. Each shutter snap felt like a release, an affirmation that she was no longer the timid woman overshadowed by someone else's ambitions. The energy on set grew electric. Every angle, every pose captured the raw combination of vulnerability and strength that radiated from Amara. The team murmured in awe, exchanging looks of excitement. "Brilliant!" Mr. Blake exclaimed after a particularly striking shot of Amara in a red power suit, standing tall, chin lifted. "That's exactly what we need." Amara left the studio hours later, both exhausted and invigorated. She couldn't recall the last time she felt so creatively alive. Mr. Blake assured her that he'd send the final images soon. She walked out with a new stride in her step, hugging the possibility of what might happen next. Sure enough, 2 weeks later, the first campaign images went live on social media. Mr. Blake's label posted a shot of Amara in that red suit, her gaze fierce and uncompromising. The tag read, "Redefine yourself. Become unstoppable." Almost immediately, the post began racking up likes, shares, and comments. People were captivated by her presence, some praising her striking look, others finding inspiration in the story Mr. Blake hinted at in the caption. Within hours, the campaign photos were featured in online fashion blogs. "Who is the mystery woman in Blake's new empowerment line?" read one headline. Another article called her the face of resilience, praising the authenticity radiating through the lens. The internet was on fire. Friends and acquaintances recognized her, bombarding her phone with messages. Even strangers reached out, applauding her daring transformation. The photo shoot had gone viral, and Amara found herself in the swirl of a sudden spotlight. She sat in her apartment, phone buzzing incessantly, heart thudding with a mix of disbelief and pride. She scrolled through comments. Some were simply compliments, others recounted how they felt inspired to stand up for themselves. A few critics emerged as well, but their negativity was drowned out by the overwhelming wave of positivity. Amid this digital storm, she realized she'd proven something, firstly to herself and unintentionally to the world. She wasn't the discarded wife left for a younger woman. She was evolving, stepping into a power she never knew she had. And the internet was witnessing her rise. Several days after the campaign's online release, Amara got a message from Mr. Blake. "We've secured prime billboard space downtown for the new ad. You're going to be larger than life." The next morning, she found herself walking along the bustling city street, gazing up at a towering billboard featuring her in that unforgettable red power suit. The sight took her breath away. But Amara wasn't the only one who saw it. Derek, driving to a business meeting, nearly slammed his brakes when he glanced at the mammoth billboard perched atop a towering building. The vibrant red drew his eye first. When recognition dawned, his jaw dropped, and he felt his heart hammer against his ribcage. Amara? In a city full of advertisements, how was she suddenly the face of a major campaign? Distracted, Derek swerved slightly, horns blaring from aggravated drivers. He pulled over to the side of the road, staring up at the billboard through the windshield. He felt an odd mix of shock, curiosity, and unease swirling in his gut. This was not the timid, neglected wife he'd left behind. This was a woman exuding confidence and independence, on display for the entire city to see. Minutes passed before he even realized how long he'd been gawking. A flurry of thoughts assaulted him. When did she become a model? How did she even land such a high-profile campaign? He fumbled for his phone, scrolling through social media, searching for the ad. Sure enough, it was trending. Comments and hashtags raved about this mysterious woman who embodied reinvention and second chances. Derek felt a surge of jealousy and regret. The woman on that billboard was mesmerizing in a way he'd never seen before. There was a radiance in her face, a self-assuredness that hadn't been there during their marriage. Or maybe it had been there all along. He just never bothered to look. He tried calling her number, but it went straight to voicemail. Gripping the steering wheel, he fought a sudden urge to drive to Amara's apartment. Yet, he knew he had no right. He was the one who left, the one who crushed her without hesitation. The one who had declared he needed someone younger to feel alive. Feeling a swirl of conflicting emotions, Derek merged back into traffic, ignoring the angered honks from other drivers. As he drove away, the towering image of Amara in red lingered in his peripheral vision, haunting him. The billboard had stopped him in his tracks, literally, and ignited questions he wasn't ready to face. Who had Amara become in his absence? And was this new, thriving version of her something he'd never have the privilege to know again? Under the spotlight of her viral success, Amara found herself receiving invitations to various events, networking soirees, gallery openings, and charity galas. Mr. Blake encouraged her to attend as many as she could, to build her brand. Though initially hesitant, Amara recognized this as a golden opportunity to expand her horizons. It was at a charity gala, hosted in a grand hotel ballroom, that she first encountered Noah. Tall, with an easygoing smile and a palpable sense of kindness, Noah was a well-respected investor known for funding socially conscious businesses. Amara noticed him from across the room. He was chatting with a small circle of entrepreneurs, listening intently rather than boasting about his own accomplishments. She was politely sipping on a flute of champagne, feeling slightly out of place, when he walked over. "You're Amara, right? The face of the new Blake campaign," he said, offering a handshake. "I'm Noah. I'm helping raise funds tonight." Amara smiled, accepting his handshake. "That's me. And yes, I saw your name on the event board. It's great to meet you." A warmth lit Noah's expression. "I've been following your story, or what little has been shared. It's quite inspiring. You seem genuine. Not everyone in this industry has that." Amara felt her cheeks warm. She still wasn't used to her new public persona. "Thank you," she replied softly. "I'm just trying to keep up with all the changes." They spent the next hour talking, drifting from topic to topic: philanthropy, travel, personal passions. Noah asked about her writing interests, and she found it refreshing that he was curious about her mind, not just her modeling. She learned that he came from a humble background, building his own success through calculated risks and compassionate business practices. When the gala's program began, they sat next to each other at a long banquet table. During the charity auction, Noah leaned in and whispered, "Do you think we should pool our resources to outbid everyone for that local children's art initiative?" Amara giggled, momentarily forgetting the polished veneer everyone else wore. "I can't compete with your resources. But sure, why not?" In an unexpected move, Noah pledged a generous sum in both their names. When applause broke out, he turned to Amara, his eyes sparkling. "Let them know we're serious about making a difference," he said, as if it were the most natural partnership in the world. By the end of the night, they exchanged contact information. A gentle breeze swept the hotel's entrance as they stood waiting for their rides. Noah looked at her, sincerity in his gaze. "I hope we can stay in touch. I'd love to learn more about your journey, maybe find ways to collaborate on projects that give back." Amara found herself smiling, heart fluttering in an unfamiliar way. "I'd like that," she said, surprising even herself with how much she meant it. As she rode home, she couldn't help replaying the evening in her mind. There was something comforting about Noah, no manipulative undertones, no sense that he wanted to diminish her. Quite the opposite, he seemed genuinely eager to see her shine. It was a new experience for her, one that left her both hopeful and cautious. Still, she felt a thrill, like maybe, just maybe, her life was opening up to possibilities she'd never dreamed of before. A few days later, Amara woke to an unexpected message notification. It was Derek's profile picture staring back at her from her phone screen. Her heart skipped a beat. They hadn't spoken since he left, and she had blocked him, so how did he get through? She soon realized he'd created a new social media account, bypassing her block. She hesitated, fingers hovering above the screen, torn between ignoring it and giving in to her curiosity. Against her better judgment, she opened it. "Derek, 7:02 a.m. You look amazing. I've been seeing your photos everywhere. Can we talk?" Amara's stomach churned. The casual compliment was laced with an undertone of longing. She considered whether to respond at all, the memories of his cold dismissal slicing through her. She tossed her phone onto the couch, unsure how to proceed. When she finally looked at the message again, her feelings solidified into quiet resolve. She typed her response succinctly. "Amara, 8:17 a.m. There's nothing left to say." She hit send, heart pounding. A minute passed. Another. She could see the three little dots indicating Derek was typing a reply. She swiftly blocked his new account before the message could come through. She wasn't ready to read his excuses or apologies, or anything, really. He had made his choice. She wasn't going to open a door he had slammed in her face. Later that day, as she prepared to meet Raya for lunch, her thoughts kept drifting to Derek's attempt at contact. His timing was transparent. Only after seeing her success did he decide to reach out. The old Amara might have felt a pang of guilt or a foolish hope. The new Amara recognized it as manipulation. Her phone buzzed again, this time with a message from Noah, asking if she'd like to join him at a small gathering to discuss a potential philanthropic collaboration. She smiled, heart lifting. One man's words tried to drag her back into a pit of confusion. Another man's words extended an invitation forward. She chose forward. Slipping on a chic outfit, a simple navy dress and comfortable heels, she realized with unexpected clarity, Derek's opinions no longer held weight in her life. She had outgrown him, matured into someone who wouldn't be swayed by a mere message of flattery. Still, there was a shadow of sadness. She had once loved him deeply. But that love now felt like a distant echo, replaced by the firm knowledge that she deserved better. With a final glance at her reflection, she walked out the door, leaving Derek's DM far behind in her rearview mirror. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, Lana was scrolling through her social feeds when she saw a new wave of posts about Amara's billboard and ongoing success. She paused, narrowing her eyes at a video interview of Amara discussing her role in Mr. Blake's campaign. The interviewer praised Amara's timeless beauty, calling her the brand's breakout star. Jealousy twisted Lana's features. She had always assumed Derek would move on from Amara to her, a younger, livelier upgrade. In her mind, Amara was meant to fade into obscurity, overshadowed by her own fresh appeal. But reality had taken a different turn. Now, everyone was talking about Amara, praising her transformation and championing her as a beacon of empowerment. Seething, Lana glared at Derek, who was seated across the room checking emails. "Have you seen what your ex-wife is doing?" she snapped, voice dripping with contempt. Derek glanced up. "I've seen it. I tried reaching out, but she blocked me again." Lana tossed her phone onto the couch, crossing her arms. "This is ridiculous. She thinks she can just overshadow us? We're the engaged couple, Derek. We're the exciting ones." An uncomfortable silence hung in the air. Derek frowned, resentment flickering in his eyes. Perhaps it was regret, or maybe it was just bruised pride. "It's not a competition," he said, though his tone betrayed a hint of envy. "Amara's free to do what she wants." Lana's expression soured further. She thought about her own social media presence, how her curated selfies and couple goals content were losing traction to comments praising Amara's growth. She tried to hide her insecurities with a sneer. "I'm the younger woman. I'm supposed to be the center of attention, not her." Derek pursed his lips, hesitating before replying. "Let it go. She's apparently found success in the fashion world. Good for her." The calmness in his voice only fueled Lana's outrage. She recognized something shifting in Derek. He seemed preoccupied, distant, as if he couldn't stop thinking about Amara's comeback. The more Lana tried to gain his attention with glamorous photos and fancy outings, the more his mind drifted elsewhere. "You're not seriously missing her, are you?" Lana demanded, voice laced with indignation. Derek sighed, looking away. "I'm just surprised by how well she's doing. That's all." Inside, Lana's jealousy reached a boiling point. She picked up her phone again, stalking Amara's social media, reading every flattering comment under her photos. A storm of insecurities crashed over her. She'd thought she'd won when Derek chose her, but now it felt like she was losing to a woman she had deemed past her prime. Furiously, Lana typed out a cryptic Instagram story aimed at mocking Amara's newly found fame, something like, "Some people try so hard to stay relevant. Cute, isn't it?" But deep down, she knew these jabs wouldn't stop Amara's rising tide. The more she seethed, the more powerless she felt. When she glanced up, Derek was looking at her strangely, as if realizing for the first time the depths of her pettiness. Lana felt a chill run through her, the precariousness of her relationship with Derek suddenly all too clear. Amara's rising star had cast a long shadow, one that threatened to snuff out the once bright flames of Lana's self-assuredness. Amara had never imagined herself as an entrepreneur, but after the buzz from Mr. Blake's campaign, offers and collaborations began pouring in. Beauty brands, fitness programs, and clothing lines reached out, wanting her endorsement. With her newfound confidence and circle of influential contacts, an idea began to take shape in her mind. What if she started her own brand? It started with a conversation at a local cafe, where she and Raya brainstormed over cappuccinos. "You've got the momentum," Raya said, tapping her spoon on the table. "And you've always had an interest in fashion and skincare. Why not merge both passions into your own brand?" Amara chewed on her lip. "I've thought about it, but launching a brand is massive. I don't have the background." Raya waved off her concern. "You have passion, a story that resonates, and a network of people who believe in you now. Technical skills can be learned. or you can hire experts. Spurred by Raya's unwavering faith, Amara quietly set the wheels in motion. She reached out to a few contacts, makeup artists, dermatologists, and small manufacturers, to explore the feasibility of a skincare line that emphasized natural ingredients and empowerment messaging. To her surprise, many expressed immediate interest, especially given her viral platform. Around the same time, Noah re-entered the picture, showing genuine enthusiasm for her idea. Over dinner at a refined restaurant, he listened intently to her pitch. "I think this could really work," he said, nodding thoughtfully. "The market loves authentic personal brands. And I'm all about investments that empower individuals." His confidence buoyed Amara. With Noah's guidance and some seed funding, she began laying the foundation for Amara Glow, a skincare and minimal fashion brand focused on holistic self-care. The brand's ethos was simple: embrace your journey. Love your reflection. The process was both thrilling and daunting, negotiating with suppliers, perfecting formulas for moisturizers and cleansers, sketching designs for comfortable yet stylish clothing staples. Amara threw herself into the project with the same zeal she once used to support Derek's ambitions. Only this time, she was building something of her own. Every day, she balanced modeling gigs with brand meetings, leaning on Raya's organizational prowess. Her home office transformed into a bustling command center, cluttered with fabric swatches, design sketches, packaging prototypes, and business cards. Late nights spent studying marketing strategies replaced the lonely nights she once spent waiting for Derek to come home. One afternoon, she was reviewing a potential brand logo with Raya when a wave of pride washed over her. This was her pivot, moving from heartbreak to building her own empire. She could hardly believe the changes that had happened in just a few months. From the corner of her eye, she noticed a framed photo of her and Derek from happier times. Without hesitation, she tucked it away in a drawer. The present had little room for the remnants of a painful past. She had a business to run, a mission to uplift, and an ever-growing sense that she was finally stepping into the life she was always meant to lead. The big day arrived like a rush of adrenaline. After months of preparation, Amara Glow was ready to debut. The venue was a stylish rooftop bar with sweeping views of the city skyline. Soft ambient music played in the background, and elegant decor showcased the brand's natural yet chic aesthetic. By early evening, a steady stream of guests poured in. Friends, influencers, industry insiders, and curious onlookers who had followed Amara's viral journey. Photographers snapped away, capturing the sophisticated ambience. Large screens displayed the brand's story, with snippets of Amara's transformation journey and the core principles of self-love behind each product. Dressed in a sleek ivory ensemble, Amara circulated the room, greeting attendees and thanking them for their support. Raya stood by the bar, making sure everything ran smoothly, while Noah engaged with potential investors interested in scaling Amara Glow beyond their initial launch. Partway through the evening, Amara took the mic. A hush fell over the crowd. Surrounded by the city lights, she addressed everyone who had believed in her, or even just watched with curiosity. "Tonight," she said, voice resonating with confidence, "isn't just about a product launch. It's about celebrating every step we've taken to rediscover our worth, our resilience. Amara Glow isn't simply a brand. It's a reminder that no matter how broken we feel, we can rise." Applause erupted, cameras flashing as she concluded. She noticed tears in Raya's eyes and a proud smile on Noah's face. The energy in the room was electric, brimming with optimism and solidarity. Outside, paparazzi lined the entrance, lured by rumors of celebrity guests and the intrigue surrounding Amara's meteoric rise. In a corner, a well-known fashion blogger live-streamed the event, giving her thousands of viewers an inside look. Comments flooded in, ranging from admiration for the brand's concept to awe at Amara's ongoing transformation story. Unbeknownst to her, Lana was watching the live stream from her penthouse. Amara's glowing smile, the glamorous venue, and the adoration from the crowd were a stark contrast to the tension that had seeped into Lana's own life with Derek. But from Amara's perspective, that part of the audience didn't matter. She was too busy radiating joy, lifting her glass in a toast with Raya, Noah, and a sea of well-wishers. By the end of the night, the event was declared a smashing success. Orders for Amara Glow products soared, and social media buzzed with raves about the launch party's sophistication. Journalists clamored for interviews, wanting to label Amara as the next big thing in empowerment and beauty. As she finally slipped off her heels and sank into the back seat of a car, exhausted yet elated, Amara gazed out at the city lights. She thought of how far she'd come, from feeling worthless and discarded to standing at the helm of her own flourishing enterprise. The evening had solidified one undeniable truth: she wasn't just surviving. She was thriving. It happened close to midnight. Amara was finally unwinding after the launch party, her hair still styled but her makeup gently wiped away, when her phone buzzed on the bedside table. She picked it up expecting congratulatory messages from friends, but her brows knitted as she recognized Derek's number. A single text message glowed on the screen. "I'm sorry. I messed everything up. I can't stop thinking about us. Can we meet?" Amara stared at the words for a long moment. She let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. The apology she'd once craved, the validation she'd prayed for, was now sitting in her inbox. But reading it, she felt no satisfaction, no sense of triumph, only a quiet finality. In the dark silence of her bedroom, she remembered every tear she shed when he walked out. She recalled the sting of his parting words, how he needed someone younger, someone who excited him. The memory still hurt, but it no longer had the power to break her. She wasn't that timid version of herself anymore. Sitting up, she typed her response carefully, each word holding weight. "You chose your story. I rewrote mine." She sent it, then promptly deleted his contact from her phone. No more illusions, no more drawn-out conversations that would only reopen wounds she'd worked so hard to heal. An overwhelming sense of closure washed over her. She placed the phone on her nightstand, knowing she wouldn't await a reply. Derek, on the other end, read her message, heart pounding with regret. He typed multiple drafts of responses, excuses, pleas, half-baked explanations. In the end, he left the chat box empty. He recognized a truth. The chance he once had, the devotion Amara once offered him, was gone. She had evolved beyond the woman he discarded. That night, Amara slept more peacefully than she had in years, no longer burdened by the shadow of Derek's rejection. Her phone sat silently next to her, the final barrier between them now firmly sealed. She had delivered her simple, powerful statement. She wouldn't be returning to the old story he had written. Her new life's chapter was well underway, and Derek was no part of it. Sunset draped the sky in shades of orange and pink as Amara and Noah strolled along a coastal cliff trail. The sound of waves crashing against rocks below provided a symphony of nature that harmonized with the soft beat of Amara's heart. They'd spent the day touring a local community center they were helping to fund through Amara Glow Profits and Noah's philanthropy. The synergy between them was more than just romantic. It was a shared passion for uplifting others. Amara felt a sense of completion in Noah's presence, as if every part of her journey had led to this connection. She stood at the cliff's edge, looking out at the vast expanse of water. Noah came up behind her, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You've come so far," he said, his voice both admiring and tender. "I remember our first conversation at the gala. You were so poised yet seemed a bit unsure of your next step. Now, you're unstoppable." Amara turned, warmth spreading through her chest. "I had a lot of support. And you believed in me before I even believed in myself," she replied, eyes glistening. Noah reached into his jacket pocket, pulling out a small velvet box. Amara's breath caught as he went down on one knee. Her heart hammered in her chest, disbelief and joy colliding. "Amara," he began, voice steady but filled with emotion, "I've watched you rebuild your life with grace and determination. Your spirit, your kindness, and your resilience inspire me every day. Will you marry me and continue this amazing journey together?" Tears welled in her eyes, and she clasped her hands over her mouth. Before she could speak, Noah flipped open the box, revealing a glimmering ring, not overly ornate, but timeless and beautiful, reflecting exactly who Amara was. Then he reached into his briefcase, withdrawing a folder. "There's one more thing," he added with a warm smile. "I want you to have an even bigger stake in the philanthropic ventures we do. This is a joint venture contract for a new foundation we'll run together, championing women's empowerment. If you say yes, I want you as my partner in every sense of the word." Overwhelmed, Amara felt tears slip down her cheeks. This wasn't just a proposal for marriage, it was a proposal for partnership in life and purpose. She knelt down, wrapping her arms around him. "Yes," she whispered through a tremulous smile. "1,000 times yes." They sealed the moment with a tender kiss, the ocean breeze wrapping around them like a blessing. In that instant, Amara realized how profoundly different this love was. There were no power games, no overshadowing or belittling. Noah wanted her whole being, her intellect, her ambition, her heart. As the sun dipped below the horizon, they rose and stood together, hands entwined. The future beckoned, a horizon of shared dreams, philanthropic projects, and a love built on mutual respect. It felt as though the final piece of her broken past had fallen away, replaced by a new, radiant promise of tomorrow. While Amara's life moved into a phase of beautiful new beginnings, Lana's own carefully curated world began to unravel. Rumors swirled in Derek's social circle. Lana had been spotted getting too cozy with Derek's business partner, a man named Marcus who was known for flirting with other men's girlfriends. At first, Derek brushed off the whispers. But soon, screenshots surfaced, text messages between Lana and Marcus, full of flirtation, innuendo, and explicit plans to meet in secret. It all leaked in a scandalous wave across social media. Derek's phone buzzed incessantly with messages from friends and colleagues who had stumbled upon the drama. Livid and humiliated, Derek confronted Lana in their penthouse living room one evening. "How could you?" he demanded, pacing back and forth, hands shaking. "All this time you were pointing fingers at Amara, calling her old or desperate, and you're the one sneaking around?" Lana, dressed in a silk robe, tried to maintain an air of confidence, but her voice trembled with guilt. "It meant nothing," she insisted. "You've been so distracted by your ex-wife's success that I felt invisible. I just wanted attention." Derek let out a harsh laugh, incredulous at the irony. "You're blaming me for your cheating?" Tears threatened to spill down Lana's face, though it was hard to tell whether they stemmed from remorse or fear of the repercussions. "We can move past this," she pleaded. "Don't let this ruin us." But Derek wasn't in the mood for forgiveness. Sinking into a chair, he clutched his forehead. All he could think about was how he had thrown away a loyal partner, Amara, for a woman who betrayed him at the first sign of his distraction. The weight of his foolish choices pressed down like a vice. Online, the court of public opinion was even less kind. Once the screenshots of Lana's chats with Marcus went viral, the internet turned brutal. People who had once fawned over her youthful glow now mocked her for hypocrisy. Memes circulated, ridiculing the couple for their drama. Some even tagged Derek, comparing Lana's betrayal to how he had betrayed Amara in the past. Karma, they called it. As the condemnation poured in, Lana felt her social media influence crumble. Brands she worked with distanced themselves, not wanting to be associated with the scandal. Derek, too, began to question whether he had any future left with the woman he'd left everything for. In the span of just a few days, Lana's carefully curated facade fell apart like a house of cards. Without the illusion of her perfect relationship, she floundered for relevance and sympathy. But the public was unsparing, mocking her downfall as the ultimate backlash. From her penthouse window, Lana stared at the city lights, phone in hand, scrolling through a barrage of hateful comments. She remembered how smug she felt watching Amara sink into heartbreak months ago. Now, she wondered if she, too, would fade into oblivion. Derek's pointed silence spoke volumes. She had lost his trust. She felt the sharp bite of karma, the bitter aftertaste of her own vanity, sinking in. Amara's team arranged a high-profile interview on a popular daytime talk show to discuss the meteoric rise of Amara Glow and her transformation journey. Dressed in a simple yet elegant dress, Amara settled on the plush studio couch opposite the famous host, Serena Holmes, who was known for her empathetic interviews. The stage lights glowed softly, the cameras rolled, and Serena introduced Amara with enthusiasm. "Our next guest has been called the Phoenix of Fashion, a woman who rose from heartbreak to become one of the most inspirational figures in beauty and empowerment today. Please welcome Amara." Applause thundered through the studio as Amara smiled and waved. Once the clapping subsided, Serena leaned forward, genuine warmth in her eyes. "Amara, your story has captivated millions. You went from a devastating divorce to launching a hugely successful brand. How did you do it? Amara took a moment, collecting her thoughts. Honestly, it started with a decision to not let someone else define my worth, she said, her voice tinged with emotion. I'd lived for years in a marriage where I put my own dreams on hold, believing that was what love required. When it ended, I felt shattered. But I also realized it was a chance to rediscover who I am. Serena nodded. That's powerful. How did you find the courage to transform on such a large scale? A gentle smile tugged at Amara's lips. I had amazing friends who reminded me of my potential, she explained, thinking of Raya. I also realized I was done seeking validation from anyone but myself. I joined a fitness challenge, started exploring opportunities in fashion. One thing led to another. Each step took me closer to who I truly wanted to be. The crowd listened, rapt, as Serena dug deeper, asking about the brand's philanthropic angle and her engagement to Noah. Amara glowed when discussing how Amara Glow supported women's shelters and scholarship funds. She spoke passionately about empowerment and self-worth. Then came the question many viewers anticipated. What would you say to the people who hurt you in the past? The ones who doubted you. A moment of silence fell in the studio. Amara inhaled, her gaze steady. I'd say thank you, she finally replied. They pushed me to face my fears, to rise above my insecurities. You're never too late to become everything they said you couldn't be. That's a lesson I hope everyone takes from my journey. The audience erupted in applause, and social media lit up with quotes from her interview. Comments streamed in, I needed to hear this today. Amara is living proof that you can bounce back stronger. She's the real deal. By the time she left the set, Amara felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She'd shared her truth in front of millions, not as a victim seeking pity, but as a woman who found her strength through adversity. The interview went viral within hours, with countless viewers praising her honesty and optimism. In a quiet dressing room afterward, she glanced at her phone. Messages from fans, supporters, and friends poured in. One stood out, a simple text from Raya, "You were phenomenal. The world sees what I've always known. Proud of you, sis." Smiling through grateful tears, Amara tucked the phone away. She was living proof that reinvention was possible, that heartbreak could be a springboard to a life more vibrant than she ever imagined. And she intended to keep pushing forward, inspiring others along the way. In the weeks following the interview, Amara's brand soared to new heights. Amara Glow broke the 7-figure revenue mark, thanks to a combination of viral marketing and authentic storytelling. Online influencers touted the quality of the skincare line, while fashion critics praised the simplicity and elegance of her minimal clothing pieces. Amara found herself juggling an ever-expanding schedule. She received invitations to speak at women's conferences, share her journey on podcasts, and even collaborate with top-tier designers who'd initially dismissed her. International magazines began calling her the Phoenix of Fashion, a moniker that stuck. One crisp morning, her team informed her she'd been invited to speak at a global empowerment summit in London. Amara nearly dropped her phone from excitement. Standing on an international stage? It felt like a surreal full-circle moment from the woman who had once been silently crying on her living room floor after Derek left. During a brand meeting, Mr. Blake, now a close mentor and friend, pulled her aside. "I've never seen a comeback like yours," he said warmly. "It's beyond business. It's become a cultural moment." Amara chuckled, shaking her head in disbelief. "I never set out to be a movement. I just wanted to stand on my own 2 feet again." He clapped a hand on her shoulder. "Exactly. And that authenticity is what's made you unstoppable. Don't forget where you started, and you'll continue to rise." Noah, ever supportive, celebrated each milestone with her, even as he managed his own growing ventures. Their relationship had blossomed into a partnership of equals. She'd offer insights into his philanthropic projects, and he helped strategize expansion for Amara Glow. Whenever the pace felt overwhelming, he was there to steady her, reminding her to stay true to her core values. From small-scale interviews to major magazine covers, Amara's story had become a beacon of hope for anyone feeling downtrodden or overlooked. She received heartfelt letters from women who had escaped abusive relationships, from recent divorcees finding new confidence, and from young girls learning the value of self-respect. Amara embraced the title, "Comeback Queen," with humility. Behind every glamorous appearance was the memory of her darkest nights, the betrayals and belittlement that once fractured her. Now, she harnessed those memories as fuel, a reminder of what she overcame and what she could do for others. Every accomplishment felt like a living testament to the power of reinvention. She was no longer Derek's castaway. She was the woman who had faced heartbreak, found her voice, and soared far beyond the limitations once placed upon her. The world cheered her on, but more importantly, she cheered for herself, unapologetically, joyfully, and with unshakable resolve. Outside Amara's office tower, the bustle of city life hummed with the usual energy. Car horns, pedestrian chatter, the distant rumble of construction. Atop the glass doors hung a discreet Amara Glow sign, gleaming in the afternoon sun. Inside, rows of hard-working staff buzzed with productivity, finalizing new product launches and media strategies. Amara was reviewing financial reports with her team when the intercom on her desk buzzed. Her assistant's voice crackled through. "Ma'am, there's someone in the lobby insisting on seeing you. He doesn't have an appointment." Amara frowned slightly. "Did he give a name?" A pause. "He says his name is Derek, your ex-husband." A cold shiver rolled down Amara's spine, but she quickly composed herself. She remembered the last time he tried contacting her. She'd already given him her final words. What more could there be to say? "Tell him I'm not available," she replied calmly. "If he refuses to leave, have security escort him out." The words felt foreign coming from her lips. Once upon a time, she would have done anything to see him, to mend their relationship. But that was a lifetime ago. Her assistant acknowledged the command. Minutes later, Amara glimpsed the scene through the glass wall of her office. Derek standing in the lobby, a strained expression on his face, pleading with the security guard. The guard remained firm, guiding him toward the door. Derek cast one last glance at Amara's office, but she didn't move to acknowledge him. A wave of relief mixed with sadness washed over her as she returned to her work. It was surreal, seeing the man who once dominated her life now reduced to an unwanted visitor. She couldn't deny the pang of pity she felt, but pity wasn't enough to open the door. He had chosen to belittle her and walk away when she was at her lowest. She had climbed too high, built too much, to let him disrupt her peace now. A few curious employees whispered among themselves, having caught a glimpse of the commotion. Amara calmly reassured them that it was a personal matter, already handled. She carried on reviewing documents, maintaining the professional atmosphere she'd cultivated. Later, she stared at her reflection in her office window, seeing beyond it the cityscape that had witnessed her rebirth. She whispered a silent farewell, not just to Derek's last attempt, but to all the remnants of that old life. She'd found her path, and it no longer had room for the man who once left her broken. Outside, Derek slumped into his car, heart heavy with the finality of it all. The woman he once dismissed was now untouchable, a force far beyond his reach. As he drove away, he felt the crushing weight of regret settling in, realizing that second chances were not guaranteed, and some doors, once closed, never reopened. In the wake of her scandal, Lana found herself in a tailspin. Once adored for her glamorous selfies and relationship highlights, she now faced an onslaught of negative comments. Her follower count plummeted, and brand deals evaporated. Even Derek had walked out of their shared penthouse after her betrayal went public, leaving her alone to deal with the fallout. Faced with isolation and public scorn, Lana did the unthinkable. She went live on social media one evening, her makeup smeared from crying, her hair messy and unstyled. It was a far cry from her typical polished self. With a shaky voice, she ranted about toxic men and how she felt taken advantage of. Her face was blotchy, her demeanor frantic. Viewers swarmed the live stream, some expressing sympathy, many others mocking her meltdown. She blamed Derek, claiming he was distant and emotionally neglectful. She hinted that the entire scandal was a setup against her. Tears and accusations blurred together in a chaotic, self-pitying tirade. Within minutes, clips of the breakdown circulated online. People compared it to the moment she had first flaunted her relationship with Derek, calling Amara old and desperate. Now, the internet sided firmly with Amara, labeling Lana as the backstabber who got a taste of her own medicine. Onlookers dissected Lana's every word, pointing out her hypocrisy. Memes sprouted, ridiculing her for blaming toxic men, while simultaneously glorifying her affair. The once enviable influencer was now an object of ridicule, her meltdown cementing her downfall in public opinion. Amara, scrolling through her feed later that night, stumbled upon clips of Lana's breakdown. A pang of pity flickered through her. She could see the pain in Lana's eyes, the desperation of someone who had lost everything. For a moment, Amara wondered what might have happened if Lana had never been part of the betrayal. Could they have been allies in empowerment instead of enemies in a twisted love triangle? In the end, though, Amara realized that Lana's pain was largely self-inflicted. She had built her platform on vanity and arrogance, made cruel jabs at other women, and stolen another woman's husband without remorse. Karma had come calling. Amara set her phone aside, choosing not to engage. She had no desire to gloat or condemn. Her journey was about rising above bitterness, focusing on growth instead of revenge. Lana's meltdown only underscored a lesson: illusions can crumble, and the way we treat people has a habit of boomeranging back. As Lana's tears played out for thousands of voyeuristic viewers, Amara simply whispered a silent prayer for peace and healing for everyone involved. Then she turned off her phone, resolving to direct her energy toward her own life, a life brimming with love, purpose, and authenticity that Lana's downfall could never overshadow. The Grand Forbes event arrived, the kind of upscale gathering that attracted top CEOs, influencers, and visionaries from around the globe. When Amara stepped onto the red carpet, hand in hand with Noah, flashbulbs sparkled like tiny fireworks. She wore a silk gown that skimmed her figure with effortless grace, the soft fabric shimmering under the lights. Her hair, styled in loose waves, framed a face that radiated quiet confidence. Paparazzi clamored for pictures, yelling out her name. "Amara! Over here!" She smiled, pausing to let them capture the moment. Her presence exuded self-assurance, not the self-consciousness of her past. This was a woman who knew her worth beyond the headlines. Behind her, a towering banner read, "Forbes Summit, celebrating global innovators." It felt surreal to be included among the prominent names shaping industries worldwide. Only a year prior, she had been a heartbroken woman questioning her future. Now, she was recognized as a rising entrepreneur with a powerful personal story. Noah, dashing in a tailored suit, gazed at her with admiration. He leaned in to whisper, "You truly look like $1 million tonight." Amara squeezed his hand, cheeks flushing slightly. "I feel it," she admitted. And it wasn't just about her gown or her brand's success. It was the unshakable sense of self that had taken root within her, grounded in resilience, blossoming through every challenge. Inside the venue, she mingled with other pioneers, discussing Amara Glow and its philanthropic initiatives. Every handshake and conversation served as a testament to how far she'd come. Press interviews flocked to her, enthralled by her narrative of transformation and triumph. She spoke with poise about her mission, to ensure no woman felt trapped or undervalued, that each one could find her glow. At the peak of the evening, she and Noah stood by a panoramic window, overlooking the city lights. She caught her reflection in the glass, the luminous smile, the elegant posture. Memories of Derek's derision and Lana's taunts flashed by, but they no longer stung. They had become stepping stones on her journey. Gently, she leaned her head on Noah's shoulder, grateful for the unexpected love she'd found. Cameras snapped around them, preserving this moment of quiet intimacy. In the hush of that scene, she allowed herself to savor the simple yet profound realization. She had arrived. This was the final shot, the pinnacle scene of her metamorphosis, a once soft-spoken woman now glittering in the spotlight, holding the hand of a man who cherished her. As the night wore on, the city sparkled below, the symbol of endless possibilities and the boundless heights she had scaled. Later, on social media, a photograph surfaced of Amara walking gracefully into the Forbes event, the epitome of confidence and success. A caption quickly went viral. "The woman he left? She became the woman he could never reach again." It summed up everything in a single sentence. She had taken heartbreak and forged it into a destiny that shone brighter than she ever imagined. And in that radiant chapter of her life, she stood not as an abandoned wife, but as a thriving, unstoppable force, truly looking like $1 million, inside and out. I'm glad you made it to the end. I hope you enjoyed the story.